Colors, the Cars of Summer is presented proudly by Lamborghini Boston. Thanks for watching the Audrain Museum Network, and we hope that you're one of our more than 50,000 subscribers. If you're not, join the crowd. It's just getting bigger by the day. Hit that button now and join us here in the Audrain Museum Network. Hello and welcome to the Audrain Automobile Museum and our latest exhibition, Colors, the Cars of Summer. This is an exhibition which celebrates the spirit of summer motoring on 2 and 4 wheels, from cars dating from 1930 to 2024. What all these vehicles have in common is the idea of the freedom, the ease, the joy of summer motoring. Whether it's a very gentle cruise down an avenue next to the ocean, a more vigorous trip down a drag strip, or something in between. You'll find a vehicle in this show that suits every mood and theme. And, like all of the shows we do here at the Audrain Automobile Museum, where our mission and passion is to celebrate, preserve, and share automotive history, you'll see how each of these fits into the life of the people who built these cars, who own these cars, and who enjoy these cars. We'll be joined later on in the exhibition by my colleagues, and we'll go through in more detail some of the specific aspects of these cars and what makes them so compelling. But right now, tonight, we'll just take a walk through the show and show how these vehicles connect emotionally with us here at the Audrain. And I'll start out because one of the things that we like to do here at the Audrain is to give that familiarity and the surprise factor. And I think, as you can see, we start right here at the door of the gallery with one of my favorite cars, a 1951 Crosley Super Sports. If there's a car that says more to me about carefree summer driving, I can't think of another. This is a car that's very slow, but its very slowness allows you to enjoy that wonderful summer air, the smell of the sea, the smell of the flowers, to wave at a friend, to get the smiles that come when you drive a car like this. In total contrast is the wonderful 1930 Packard Phaeton behind me. That is a car that also says delightful, relaxed summer motoring with the open air, the sound of that wonderful, almost silent Packard engine, and you can hear the gulls in the distance, the sound of the waves lapping up on the beach, and you know that you're in a place that's very, very special. All of these vehicles are quintessential examples of how you can enjoy summer here in Newport, across the Aquidneck Island, and indeed throughout southern Rhode Island. And I would say, in fact, that although there's that whole idea of California dreaming and the endless summer, I think that our summer here in southern New England is a very special one. So let's take a look at this exhibition, and we'll start with talking to some of our colleagues here at the Audrain and to see how each of the cars in this exhibition connects directly to them and their summer dreams. The spirit of summer motoring comes in so many different forms, and when I asked all of my colleagues which was the vehicle in the show that sort of spoke most immediately to their ideas of summer motoring, my friend Ben Chester chose this Fiat Jolly. Why?
It's very simple. If you struggle to communicate with women, this does it for you. Nothing else to say.
You know, it's much like our friend Jay Leno says that if a guy wants to meet a girl, all he has to do is walk a puppy or hold a cat.
Yeah.
So this is that equivalent, the automotive equivalent.
Yeah. It's cuter than a cat though. Not as good as a puppy, but I mean, look, just admire it for a second. We'll go to the B-roll here. The wicker seats, no doors, no seat belts, very minimal. But this was obviously designed to be a yacht vehicle, an island vehicle. It's right at home here in Newport. The color's perfect. You know, you can just lift up the seats here to get in the back, or even just put those seats on the beach. It's quintessential Newport's quintessential summer motoring.
It absolutely screams summer motoring because you cannot imagine driving this even in late fall would be a stretch.
No.
But the summer is its element.
Yeah.
And what is it that you like most about summer driving as opposed to your year-round driving?
Well, I'm not a big fan of air conditioning, so love having the windows down, sunroof open. You know, I get into these arguments with slick top versus sunroof all day in the summer, but you know, just being able to stay out and go for a drive until, you know, it's light out at 9 p.m. is just the best.
Summer motoring also has a tendency to include more destination-free driving. Do you find yourself doing that in the summer?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just going out for a drive as an activity for an hour or two and just, you know, driving our favorite roads around here is the best. I think it's better without a destination because there's no time limit.
And discovering new roads. Do you get the chance to do that in the summer as well?
Not in Rhode Island. I think me and Antonio have found them all, but you know, we've got our roots, so we stick to the roots.
Well, you know, we are roughly adjacent to Connecticut and Massachusetts, so there might be a road that you might want to discover this summer as well there. We're not saying that everyone has to spend all their time here in Rhode Island. You visit the Audrain and then go on an adventure driving.
Yeah, well, you know, at some point you got to get back to work, so I don't go too far.
That's true. Well, we will come back, Ben, and look at some of the other cars in this exhibition in greater detail, and you can tell us a lot more about those specific cars, and also give us a little bit of an insight on how these cars affect you in a summer motoring way.
Great, good.
In the meantime, let's head to the yacht in the Jolly.
Good.
Let's go.
Awesome.
In finding the connection between a summer ride and ourselves, I am absolutely shocked and amazed that Antonio Meligari chose this Ferrari.
Well, my name is very Irish, as you know.
Absolutely.
I have a personal connection with this car. So when I was growing up, I was born in '97, and this was very much the era of my early childhood. And I actually saw one of these when I was a young kid, and this was actually one of the first Ferraris that I got to drive a couple years ago, and very lucky through this job to experience some of these cars. And it was a beautiful summer day, and the top was down, and the open top front engine V12 stick shift Ferrari experience is a pretty good summer experience, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and you'll see here on the Audrain Museum Network, we did videos a little while back about manufacturers who went back to iconic nameplates and models in their past. Porsche with the Speedster and Ferrari with the Barchetta. And we decided which one we thought was sort of closest to the original in spirit. And I won't tell you which one I thought was closest because you have to go back and watch the video. But tell me about your experience in driving this car. What did it feel like to drive this car?
It's an amazing experience for one. I mean, just the wind blowing through the cabin and through my hair and just the overall sound of it. I mean, everything is being moved towards EVs and turbocharged engines, but nothing beats a naturally aspirated V12 and then the clack-clack of the gated shifter. I mean, it's just one of those things that, yeah, you can see it in video, but when you actually get to experience it and the sound and the vibrations, it's just one of those experiences that you really remember forever. It's all the Italian stereotypes really came out while I was driving the car, that's for sure.
Well, it's of course the spirit of a Ferrari, especially a front engine V12 Ferrari, is remarkable. And it also, again, in the context of this exhibition, really points to what a summer ride is. When you have a car like this with no top, you are in your environment.
Yes.
So you don't just hear the engine sort of at a distance through the firewall. It's coming at you through the front wheel openings, through the air over the windshield. You're smelling the air as it goes by. You can smell the hot oil, all the things that you know that you're in a mechanical device.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as you know, I love to ride motorcycles, and any chance I get to ride a motorcycle is a good day, but I'm not entirely a convertible guy, but I do like the open top experience because it does remind me of riding a motorcycle, especially the wind and the smells like you mentioned. So, I mean, you can't really beat, this is one of the best experiences you can get right here.
And driving a V12 sports car not on the track, you also get to not wear a helmet, so you actually get to really experience the senses. The wind on your skin is something that's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. It's not a bad way to go.
It's a very funny thing because obviously here on Aquidneck Island, the speed limits are low, and so you can't really express the incredible performance of a car like this. But one of the things that a car like this does, which a lot of more modern sports cars don't, is it gives you a great deal of enjoyment even at legal speeds. At 25, 35, 45 miles per hour, you can still get a lot out of a car like this.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was just going to make the same comment. With this open top experience, you really don't need to be going fast to have fun. It's super engaging to drive, and that's kind of the beauty of these cars. If this was the 296 GT or GTS rather, you'd probably want to be doing 1,000,000 miles an hour, where you can drive the speed limit in this and you can keep it in a higher gear and it just cruises along. I mean, it's very, very enjoyable.
And Ferraris come in many, many colors, but there's nothing more iconic than red over tan, and red is a great color of summer.
It is, it is. I know some people might call it the resale red, but this is Rosso Corsa, which is one of Ferrari's most iconic colors with the Formula One team, and I mean this screams Ferrari. I mean there's no denying what this car is. You took the badges off, you would still know that it's a Ferrari.
And as you and I would say, forza Ferrari nell'estate.
Absolutely.
Now let's take a look at a very different kind of summer motoring. As we often do here at the Audrain, we celebrate vehicles of both 4- and 2-wheeled varieties. And we've got one of those, and although there are people that only ride scooters and bikes during the summertime, during clement weather, there are those hardy souls that can frequently be found on all sorts of 2-wheeled conveyances, come rain or sleet or hail or gloom of night. And one of those is David DeMuzio, our executive director. And not surprisingly to me, David has chosen as the vehicle that connects him most with summer motoring, this great Lambretta scooter. David, why?
Oh, I love it. I started, my father rode motorcycles, his buddies drove British cars and motorcycles. I grew up even at the age of 10 riding a little Benelli, Motor Marini, all these little 50cc motor mini bikes. And then one of my dad's friends, Rocky D'Angelo, has a scooter, which I had never seen before. We were riding dirt bikes and mini bikes, and he had a Piaggio. And I was just fascinated by what is this thing? And look at that, you can like step through it, and it's easy to sit on. And he let me ride it around the yard, and it just really captured me. But it wasn't until I was older, and my previous job took me to Italy several times a year, that I got to see it in the culture, in the city, in the town, everyone riding scooters around. And it just really spoke to me because it's not about going fast or going far. It's just about participating in your surroundings. So it really moved me. So, and then moving to Newport, the same thing. You see lots of scooters around, people getting around town and really enjoying the summer. So it really spoke to me in that way.
It is something that you mentioned, the culture that creates and sort of develops a certain type of vehicle. And the idea of the scooter, although of course the Fiat Topolino and the Cinquecento later really motorized Italian populations, but remembering the fact that most of these people rode bicycles. So this was the next step up from the bicycle, so they could do all of the things they did in town and in cities with marketing and commuting to work on bicycles. Now it was so much more convenient and faster, and frankly a bit safer, to do it on a scooter. And my experience with these is the same but different. I've never ridden one because, as everybody knows, I only do 4 wheels. But my first time that I went to Italy, and I was absolutely amazed walking down the street in Rome and seeing all the wonderful cars on the road, but 3 times as many scooters. And there would be 6 scooters in the space of a single car, and I thought, wow, this is amazing for urban transportation, because people didn't have to worry about where they park them, which is also, frankly, a challenge in Newport in the summertime.
Right.
So they've got great application, and what to me is most important is they have incredible style for such a simple thing. I love the functional utility item, and this is one of the most stylish utility items you can ever imagine.
Yeah, and we see them parked right outside as we speak, our 2 Vespas, you know. So they're around and they're wonderful. Lots of electric bicycles too, which have their place, I think, but they're not the same thing as riding a scooter.
It is absolutely extraordinary, and who knows? One day I might find myself on 2 wheels. You never know, and maybe it's a Lambretta or something. Who knows? We'll see. But this is very you, David, and very much the spirit of Newport in the summertime. Absolutely.
Agreed.
And our colleague Steve Marsocci, who has never, ever, 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 ever seen a Mustang that he didn't like, strangely enough, chose this. What is this wonderful color?
Aztec Aqua.
Aztec Aqua. Yeah. This is a fabulous car, Steve.
It's a great car. I'm running the risk of becoming very predictable here on the channel. I do like other cars, but something about this Mustang gives me that feeling of anomia, that nostalgia for a time I wasn't around. You know, cruising to the beach.
You're an old soul.
I am. I just like cruising to the beach in this car and meeting up with friends and taking a sunset drive to the drive-in and then doing a burnout leaving A&W. Just that's what I want to do with this car.
I was going to say, one of the things that, and we'll see this in the detailed videos that we do later on, one of the things that this car says to me that is such a summer activity is drag racing.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you bought this car to go drag racing. And of course, that's another great Rhode Island connection, because Bob Tasca Ford, basically was responsible for Ford's entire drag program at this time.
Exactly right.
So it's an amazing thing. I remember, you know, living in New York City and hearing all about Tasca Ford, and I thought, oh, it's got to be some huge dealership in Michigan somewhere. And I found out it was in Rhode Island. I said, what? How's that possible? But you know, cars like this are just extraordinary examples of raiding the parts bin, but in a good way.
Oh yeah, taking all the good parts and putting it on a car that can't necessarily handle it, but it'll be fun in the process.
And it is also the kind of car, again, that expresses summer motoring, because you're not going to take this out in the middle of the winter. You're not going to put snow tires or chains on it to commute to work in.
You could if you're Bunky Knudsen in a Boss 302, but yeah, no, most people didn't do that.
Yeah, it's something that is as enjoyable today for all the reasons why it was enjoyable when it was a new car as it is as a collector car. Now, of course, you're not really going to, well, you're not going to dump the clutch in an automatic, but you're not going to really do that, hold on to the brake as hard as you can, rev it up as fast as you can, and get that super burnout today, but you might have a little bit of fun with this in the appropriate place at the appropriate time.
Right, indeed.
Well, we're going to see in our detailed videos a number of other cars that have great drag connections, which is really terrific for great summer motoring.
I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed, it's going to be fantastic. Colors, the Cars of Summer, runs through September 8th, 2024 here at the Audrain. And this is an exhibition that has something literally for everyone. Whether your enthusiasm are classic cars, traditional sports cars, drag cars, off-roaders, we've got it all right here. And all to express the spirit of summer motoring on 4 and 2 wheels, and even summer motoring for the small set in go-karts. Come here and hear from our docents all about how these vehicles related to the people who first created them, the people who use them, and how they relate to people now as collector vehicles. And you will see in this great assortment the spirit of summer motoring, what summer means to us here at the Audrain, and tell us what summer motoring means to you as well. We'd love to hear your comments here on the Audrain Museum Network in the comments, and also when you come in here to the gallery. We'll follow this up with 6 great highlights video getting into some of the details of the cars and motorcycles in the exhibition, and you'll find out why they've been chosen for the show and what they mean to us today and what they'll mean to the world tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you here in the gallery and here in the Audrain Museum Network. Thanks for watching.